back. That's right. Hey, everybody. Isn't this pretty cool? I love that intro. That was not by me, by the way. That was by the great John Schmitz, the host of the Mouthwash Talk Show and Minty Fresh Take on Politics. So, this is pretty neat. I am Steve Whitmer. I am the host of the Whitty Reviews. First off, let me introduce myself. Like I said, I'm Steve Whitmer, a.k.a. Slick Whitty, a.k.a. Baron of the Badlands. And next month, actually, will be a year from when I have started my YouTube channel, Whitty Indie. And basically what I do is that I just go and I review the city council committee meetings. And I comment on them, and then I'm going to push that information out to everybody else using bite-sized clips. Or, if you like to watch an hour and a half or 2 hours of committee meetings, you can watch it with me, because there are a lot of things that people don't know what's going on. So think of it as Mystery Science Theater, but instead of movies, it's city council meetings. For example, last week I found out in 2015, the city made a large purchase of solid waste vehicles. And then the very next year, the vendor went bankrupt. So now you have 50 to 60 solid waste vehicles that were not serviceable, right? Huge waste of taxpayer money. And we're still paying for that today. I just found out during the Public Works Committee meeting last week. Or, get this one, Democrat City Councilor Dan Booth, who wants Indy to become an 11-minute city. And we keep hearing about the 15-minute cities. Ask Lucy Britton about it. But on top of that, Michael Paul Hart, who is a Republican, said he wants Indy to be the smartest city in the country with the help of AI. And this is the kind of things that I try and push out there, all this information, because at the end of the day, we all have lives to do. We all have things that we have to get done. And it takes a lot of time and a lot of knowledge and trying to sift through all the weeds of what's important and what's not important. And that's the kind of information that I try to put out. So, but that's why I'm here. And that's why I'm on the Chateau de Mars Hill platform. And if you're watching this, you, like me, are probably hungry for information. No more C-SPAN, no more MSNBC, no more CNN, even no more Fox News. Citizen journalism is where it's at right now. Even local stuff like Indy Star blows. So that's what I'm here for. And so this is the first episode of Whitty Reviews. So let's just get into it. So the first thing I want to let you know is that I named this episode Mud Democracy and the Future of Central Indiana. And I had actually started building up this idea for a video a few weeks ago, but then I did a live stream talking about Diego, which I'll probably do another video on that in the future. And John was like, hey, why don't you come on here? Let's go and talk about some stuff. I'm like, perfect with me. So, one of the things that we heard about a lot during this election, especially the last few years, is democracy, right? It's like, we got to protect democracy. Democracy is in danger. So I figured that we would talk about it for a second. So I went on the ChatGPT. Some of you are like, oh my God, not the AI and whatnot. They're like, well, we get this quick and dirty. It's good enough. If you log in, it's actually much better than if you don't log in. It gives you a lot more lot better stuff like this graph, for example, or these tables. So we can compare. I'm not going to bore you with any of this, but except for the main things of comparison: democracy, majority rule, constitutional republic, rule of law, and the Constitution. Talk about government power determined by the people's votes. Constitutional republic, limited by a constitution. Democracy, minority rights can be overridden by the majority. So that means 2 wolves and a sheep can decide what's for dinner. That's right. And constitutional republic, protected by the constitutional limits. There's a reason why I want to talk about this, because it is very important, especially with this last election, especially in blue cities. So this is what I wanted to show. LA County is a county in California. It has 10 million people, give or take. So I wanted to know out of all the states in the union is how many people or how many less people are there than LA County? Turns out there's 40 states. So one county has more people than 40 states. which is why they're so hung up on mud democracy. Because if you have like one crazy county, as in LA County, as in Bumville, as in you're walking over poop, and you're saying, hey, you know what? We seem to have the best ideas. We love drug addicts on our street. Why don't we have that for the rest of the U.S.? Perfect, right? So if anybody else has used ChatGPT before, I actually had to ask this like 4 times because I knew Colorado had like 5.8 million people. Indiana wasn't even on that first, but so if any of you use it on use ChatGPT, make sure you're paying attention. It's not perfect. Which, and I wanted to show it to you. It's like, hey, no, this is actually real. There's 9.6 million people. But here was the interesting part. This is the fun part. Look how many people have left LA County since 2020. It's a lot, 3.5%. Right? Where are they all going? Well, they're probably coming to places like Indiana. Utah is real big right now. That place is basically turned blue. Colorado, obviously. Texas is getting ready to turn blue. Tennessee, because of Nashville. And this is the problem. We've already known it. We've talked about it forever. It's that people bring their policies with them. Because basically, Democrats are a cancer. They find this very healthy area, and they're like, you know what would be really great? More crime, more abortion, more drugs. And then they'll just move there, and they'll throw up a Walmart or a Starbucks, and they say, wow, just like home, the place that I left from. But let's go with a little bit more locally. Now, this is from the MarionIndy.gov. This is from the current election from this year. Very, very fun stuff. Why? Look at who they voted for. 62 to 35 on Kamala. Oh, let me change this real quick. There we go. All right, so Kamala got 62.5. 62.5 vote percentage. Donald Trump, 35. Now, if Indianapolis was running Indiana, we would all be screwed. We would be just like California. And if anybody out there lives in Indy, you know what I'm talking about. It is, it's a crap hole, basically. We had, 10 or 12 shootings over a 12-hour period. I was actually doing a live stream on Saturday, listening to IMPD radio while looking through some Ryan Mears campaign reports. And one of the calls that I caught was there was a shooting over at McDonald's on Keystone. Ended up finding out that the shooting happened outside the McDonald's, not inside. Sometimes you just want those chicken nuggets and someone's going to have to eat a bullet for them. I don't know. So we know that if Democrats, which I am predicting, they will take control of Indiana, hopefully not anytime soon, but my math is saying probably by the next election. But I wanted to show this for a point. There's a point to all of this. Because this is what they say when they want democracy. They want the majority rule, no matter how bad the ideas are, and everybody knows that. And this is what is probably the most demoralizing part of it. We have seen what Democrats have done for the last 4 years. More crime, high inflation. Have you checked your insurance rates lately? They're out of control. Higher property taxes. And this is all spread out because of federal Democrat policies. Indiana can only do so much. So I decided to look at my election, not just my election, but also people in District 97. Now, some of you know that I ran for state rep of District 97 this year, and I got the rails beat off of me, which I figured that was going to happen. But there's no way that if I have the chance, I am not going to let someone run unopposed. No way. They need some competition. Plus, there was going to be good numbers to find out for the future. And it's not looking good, for sure. But here is some very interesting parts and interesting things. Why? Because we see this in Arizona right now. Trump won Arizona, but the same people that could have voted for Carrie Lake, she didn't win either. So I decided to look up between Trump, Mike Braun, and Rokita. So here's me, here's yours truly. And just even between like Wayne and Center Township. Center Township got more people than me and Mark Renhenselberger got combined, which tells me what? Center Township sucks. They're the worst. I would have beat them, if the Renselberg voters just voted for me. For those who don't know, Mark Renselberger is a libertarian, and he just took votes away from me. But here is the weird part: Trump got 6,400, Rokita almost that, and then Braun got 58-52. Hey, if there is any pat on the back, is that I got more votes than Braun in my district. You're welcome. I know. But same thing. It's look how much Justin Moed got. 88-31. I mean, Trump got 64-53. There's no way that you're going to be able to beat that. District 97, I'm sorry, you're dead. And it's true. But who did you vote for? You voted for Justin Moed. That's right. The guy that was under the phone of Sydney Leathers under Bitch Boy. You don't believe me? Google it. And I just want to point something out here in this article from page6.com talking about it. I'm not going to bore you with the details. If you want to go and lose your lunch from reading about it, go right ahead. I encourage you not to eat before you read any of the articles, though. But I will share one of them. It's not for child ears. The eager slave tweeted that he wanted Leathers to buy a strap-on to use on him, to dress in a French maid's outfit and clean Leathers' house, and to be tied up in a closet and listen while Leathers had sex with her boyfriend. That's right. That is our District 97 state representative, Justin Moed. The same guy that did not show up for the first day of work this week, or last week. They called him up, and Diego was like, he's not here. He's allowed to not be here either. So how is it that a guy who's been in office for 12 years refuses to even show up for the first day of work? District 97, you voted for that. You voted for this. You had other better options, and you were like, no, this is my guy. Really shows something about you. So moving on from that, I was originally going to talk about the future of Central Indiana, but then go ahead and prep clip one. But but last week during the Mouthwash show, John Schmitz had Micah Beckwith and the usual panel on Mouthwash, and they were talking about, I brought something up, but let's just go, if you got the clip, go ahead and run it.
Slick Whitty says the GOP needs to help candidates in Indy.
I agree.
So that's one of the things. And then he also says that, hey, Hamilton County will be blue by the next election if we're not careful. But I don't know about that.
He's right on both counts. When you think about the diversity leadership series and finding competent and capable conservatives of color, that was a lot of C's right there I just strung together. I think that it's a shame that they are not cultivating some of these candidates in some of these areas. It's actually a shame. It really, really is, because what you get that, most minorities are pretty conservative. You get people who are from those communities who want to see them improve and do better. We're definitely missing the boat in Indianapolis.
One of my initiatives is going to be to get to faith leaders in particularly inner city environments, and to just begin to cultivate those relationships to say, hey, listen, I'm not asking you to be Republican. I'm just asking you to vote and lead your congregations to vote biblical values, to vote conservative values, right? And again, if it's on you can prove to me and show me why the Democrat platform is going to be more of a benefit to you and your family, then great. But I will stand to reason that you can't do that. And so help and offer an olive branch and offer a hand, because I just think we've given up on Indy. We've given up on Gary. We've given up on some of these places. And we've just kind of said, well, they're blue. They're always going to be blue. Well, I know by playing sports, the way to never win a game is to never play good offense. Right?
So Micah, concerned clergy here in Indianapolis, they came out against the Democrats. I think you being a pastor, their pastors, I'm just trying to put two and two together here. I think, you need to make a phone call over there to that. And I did notice when I went to churches that they were one-sided, very one-sided on some things. And they didn't even care if the other side was in the church. They would just go on about their business, and some more than others. And I did notice that when I went to some churches that were talking about get out and vote, they didn't really talk about one side or the other, but certain churches talked about one side. and basically instructed their
abortion
people to
side?
vote that way.
And see, that's the thing, is that if you can get into some of these places, and if you have candidates of color on both sides, then we're not choosing based on party. We're choosing based on what aligns to what feels good to us. And that's the thing, when you can take race out of the picture and you really talk about values and progress and what's good for communities, then you can have a much richer conversation. And shame on whoever's in charge of in Indianapolis for not having candidates that are ready.
Okay, there's a lot to unpack there. All right, so first off, I wanted to show you this right here, because I constantly talk about this on Twitter. By the way, if you're not following me on Twitter, you should definitely do that. King of Whitties, Whittys. So these are the counties that I have: Hancock, Boone, Johnson, Hamilton, Hendricks, and Marion. Now, if you look at Marion, look how many people have left. As Rob Kendall said, of my public school math, or ours, they have lost 8,000 people. Over 8,000 people since 2020 to 2023, which I have said this many, many times. These aren't people that are working minimum wage jobs. These are people that are making $100,000 to $200,000 or even more. The people that have the resource to leave Marion County and go to greener pastures, like Hancock, Boone, Johnson, Hamilton, Hendricks. Now look at how many people have already moved to Hamilton County. From 347 from 2020 to 371. That is bananas. It is crazy. Even Johnson County, minimal numbers, same as Boone and Hancock County. I was very surprised of how many people are moving to Hancock County. And even in this last election, it showed that it was turning blue. Same thing with Hamilton County. Hendricks County, they already have a Democrat city council president. So if I had to put it on an urgency for the people in Hamilton or in the GOP, just in Indiana, you need to focus on Hamilton and Hendricks County on making sure that they stay red, because within an election or two, you will be turning into Marion County. I'm just letting everybody out there know that in Hamilton County, you're going to have a bunch of homeless people. You're going to have a bunch of drug addicts walking everywhere. You're going to have it smell like pot everywhere. You're going to see a bunch more car accidents, violent crimes, even low crimes. And eventually, probably relatively soon, you're going to have a Democrat prosecutor like our Nosferatu-looking guy, Ryan Mears, sucking the blood out of Marion County. So if you don't believe me, let's look at this last presidential election from 2024, and we're also going to do 2020. So let's look at 2020 first. Hamilton County, this is Trump and Biden. We had 52.4 for Trump, 45.5 for Biden. In 2024, we had 52.1 and 46. Now, you might be thinking, hey, that's no big deal, but this was also a presidential year. People really don't pay attention to the primary numbers. And there was a very close race with Becky Cash, Josh Lowry. He was running against Danny Lopez. And you also had McNally running against Hunter Smith. Relatively close races. Hey, it's not going to take that much to flip Hamilton County blue. And listen, Democrats, I know that you guys are gooning right now on the idea that you get to have the same trash as Indianapolis, but I will tell you what, you are not going to like it when it hits your backyard. Those $700,000 homes, and you got some bum taking a dump in your backyard, you're not going to like that. I can guarantee you. I know, because I had it happen to me. He didn't take a dump, but he was walking through my backyard. So the other port, that was going to be like the main portion that I was going to talk about tonight. But Tiffany, my queen T, she brought up having these diversity series and we need to get people of color, no matter if they're black, brown, or whatever, into the Republican Party. Well, it's not going to work, Tiffany. Listen, queen, as much as I know that you're optimistic about it, it's just not going to happen. For two reasons, really. And I'm going to talk about the main reason why. The main reason why is for a woman named Whitty Yates. And some of you out there are listening right now, and you know exactly what I'm talking about, or who I'm talking about. Now, Whitty Yates is the GOP Director of Diversity Engagement. She's had this position since 2019. She has blocked me a lot of times. Very nice lady, of course. But I would ask you right now, have things gotten better for, say, the Black community or the Hispanic community, the Asian community, whoever it is, for the diversity and engagement. Has things gotten better in Indianapolis? I just want to focus on Indianapolis because it is the bluest city of all Indiana. In fact, we have more Republicans in Marion County than than anywhere else in Indiana. Now, have things gotten better? No, they haven't, because she's not really concerned about Republicans winning. She's more concerned on the Black community. And here's the reason, and here's an interesting thing. Now, I do not know why Twitter has basically deleted everything pre-2022, because I've been on Twitter since like 2020, and she has talked about this more than this. This was I think there was one in 2023 and 2022, but this one, I have consistently advocated for restitution, reparations, and specific policy points and tangibles for descendants of Chateau, slavery, freedmen, yada, yada, yada. She is very, very pro reparations. All right. Whitty Yates is toxic. She is a plant. All right. I have called her out on this many times, and as soon as I do, she blocks me. And I just talked about this with a certain WIBC host not that long ago, and he couldn't believe it. So he messaged her and he's like, "Hey, is this for real? You're really like wanting reparations?" And she responded back and saying, "Yeah, of course I am." It's like, "I've been about that since day one." It's like, well, that's not good, because what she's trying to do is basically gaslight Republicans into thinking that reparations are good. No, reparations are dumb. Clip it, Democrats. I don't care, because it's the truth. And so if you want better diversity and diversity and engagement, she needs to be fired first. Humphrey, if you're watching this, you need to fire Whitty Yates. She's doing a terrible job. There has been no net positive in Indianapolis while she has been in her role. And I will die with that to my grave. She has not done any better. And one of the things that Tiffany also talked about, and I heard Whitty Yates actually say at one time, was that the Black community are conservatives. Well, they're not. They are culturally conservative, but they are politically left. And that is 100% the truth. She did bring up the Black clergy. I'm gonna come back to this because it's kind of funny. But we're gonna talk about the exit polls from the 2024 election. And one of the things that she said was about how they are the Black community is conservative, and I am saying that they are culturally conservative, because look at the race data for these exit polls. The Black community overwhelmingly voted for Harris, no matter how bad things got. You have sky-high rents, sky-high homes, inflation, $10 eggs, $20 milk, and you're like, oh no, Queen Kamala is surely going to get better, even though she's vice president of the United States, and she could have done something about it. She didn't want to go and visit the border. She constantly lied. She was fact-checked like no other. And nobody wanted to ask her about it. But somehow the Black community, the Latino community, the Asian community, they were all like, no, Daddy, I still want some more. Spank me like Justin Moed. Choke me. I don't care. Put me in the closet. Let me hear horrific things. That's what the Black, the Latino, and the Asian community was all about. And obviously the white community voted for Trump. That was very interesting too. If you want to go down here and look at the, obviously the gender numbers as well, the area types, abortion. This was, I thought I could find it, but you can also filter this. And so let's just say Black voters, right, for the exit polls. We're just going to, I got like 40 tabs open right now, so I'm not sure how well this is going to work. Okay, cool. It saved me. No. There was one. Yeah, okay. So filter by Black voters. Legal in all cases. 97% of the Black voters said it should be legal in all cases. That means anytime abortion. Hey, you're 9 months. You're about ready to peak. No. We're going to kill this baby. We're going to go to that doctor in Denver, and we're going to rip off the voice cords of the baby. So when it's getting his head twisted off, the baby, you can't hear the baby scream. That's a true thing. Look it up. Legal in most cases, 78%. People who voted for Trump were like, no. Legal in all cases, that's crazy. What are you, a psychopath? So going back to the conservative part, though, there was some other. So I want to talk about the black clergy too. Black clergy actually wants the chair of the Democrat Party, to step down, because what they said was that there weren't enough black community voices, and they weren't helping them in Indianapolis or Northwest Indiana, all these blue areas, which I thought was actually very funny, because they know that the Democrat Party already knows, like, those are winnable areas. And the black clergy were like, yeah, we know they're winnable areas, but we want to win more. It's like, that's why they were going out to rural areas. That's why the leader of the Democrat Party wanted to go out to the more rural areas to try and lure more people into the Democrat Party. Well, guess what, Shmuel? It didn't work. We still won, baby. Eat it. So going forward, though, this was not the first time this has been brought up. During last year's primary election, the Marion County Democrats, 2022, I'm sorry, what they brought up in 23, there's just not really any articles about it. They were bitching about it, too. The abuse of power. The Marion County Democrats cite conflicts of interest with party chair. I'm not going to go into this, but just to let you know, they are usually in the news, usually about black voices. So another point that Tiffany brought up was, in which I thought this was a very good idea. So Jennifer Ruth Green ran against Frank Maravan, that in the District 1. So that district has not been Republican in almost 100 years, since I think even before FDR was a president. And Jennifer Ruth Green, even though Adam Wren is a scumbag and wrote these atrocious articles about Jennifer Ruth Green, still came within 12,000 votes of becoming the congresswoman. I think Randy Niemeyer did worse. Even with the Libertarian that was running against him combined, they did worse. So that area will always turn blue because it's right on the border of Illinois. And things just are not going to get better. Prep clip 2, please. So another thing that I wanted to see was, okay, what about these the black leaders in Indianapolis? Let's see how the Democrats are doing. So Deb Whitfield won mayor of Lawrence last year against, I believe, Dave Hoffman. Very surprising, but now she's already got some crazy stuff going on here. You can see a Mirror Indy article. I think the GOP chair in that area also wrote a letter against how bad Whitfield is doing over there. If I remember right, she was trying to transfer money from the Public Works Department into trying to pay off some other debts, which is apparently very illegal, which honestly I didn't know. But also, she was submitting a budget that includes a 15.3% property tax increase. Can you believe that, honestly? And knowing that property taxes are already crazy, and you're like, nah, you know what, baby? We need them higher. 15.3 to be exact. And one of the things, too, was that she detailed in financial reports for costs related to a purchase of vehicle and remodeling the mayor's office. Thank you, taxpayers. I'm glad that 15.3% property tax increase will go to fitting her fancy. New whip and a better office? Count me in. Go ahead and play clip 2, please.
Really interesting and good conversation last night with a very high up Democrat leader in Indianapolis. And he was and it was actually a really nice conversation. We were at the Public Servants Prayer fundraiser. So Matt Barnes, who leads the prayer ministry he's the chaplain of the State House. And so it's an amazing ministry, and it's very nonpartisan. It's very bipartisan. And so we have a lot of different people from both sides there. Well, this guy was talking, and there was kind of a glimmer in his eye when he talked about the election results. And he's an older white man, and I was like, well, why do you say that? And he said, well, because I think my party, speaking of the Democrat Party, he said, I think we've gotten too far immersed in identity politics. We've walked away from common sense. And he said, for an old white guy like me, he said, I was being told there's no place for me anymore in the party. And so he actually saw the Trump victory and the red wave as almost a good thing to hopefully bring the Democrats back into some semblance of common sense land. And I actually think that'll be a good thing, because when you'll have a more competitive Democrat Party, which means a better Republican Party, right? And I want the Republican Party to be good. I don't want the Republican Party just to be in power because they're the best of worst options, right? Like I want it to be a good option. And so, but you need to have good competition. And so I thought that was really interesting. If I said his name, you all know you'd all know who it is. But that was a really interesting conversation that I had with him, and I loved it. It was a great conversation, and so we'll see. Can the Democrats come back to some semblance of common sense universe here in the next few years?
So, Mike, to your point about identity politics, I was at a wedding 10 days ago, and I'm sitting there, and this lady says to me, we were talking about the election, and she was just like, I wanted Kamala to win so bad. And I was just like, I understand. She said, you understand more than anyone what I mean.
What?
Did she wink?
And I took her hand, and I was holding her hand, and I said, well, the engine just really didn't prepare Kamala to be president of the United States. And we've all been in situations where
the engine?
The engine, like, correct. The Democratic engine did not prepare her to be president. And so
Elizabeth Warren. I thought you were talking about Elizabeth Warren.
We've all been in professional situations where they bring somebody in, and they're the next great thing. They get all the accolades, all the recognition, and when somebody is next. And she's like, but I just wanted her to win so bad. And I said, I'm going to hold your hand, and I'm going to rub your hand because I don't want you to lose consciousness. But I'm an elected Republican woman, and she, and I said, it's gonna be okay. That poor lady, she didn't talk. I ended up sitting at the same table with her. She didn't talk to me the rest of the night. But we do.
So it does go a little bit longer, but that is a kind of a longer clip. But same point that I was making before, you're really not going to be able to convince the Black community to vote Republican. I don't know why, honestly. Like, we see how bad things are right now. And I really thought this was going to be a turning point for everybody, for all the races. And whether it's Black, Hispanic, Asian, white, whatever. And it did not end up turning out that way. I was very surprised. So, if Tiffany has a better idea, I'm all ears. So moving on to that, though, I'm hoping that you could actually hear them. So this is Tiffany Henyard. She is the mayor of Dalton, Illinois. And if you have not heard of her or seen her before, I would really recommend you Googling her. She's under FBI investigation right now for basically taking a bunch of money and going on lavish trips to like Las Vegas and whatnot. I don't know if you could hear that. All right, so hopefully you heard that. The next one is, this is probably the worst one. So Jasmine Crockett, obviously. And my point of posting this stuff is that this does not help. We have like major division right now, not just from the left and the right, but then you could also say from the Black community with everybody else of just putting out racist rhetoric. And there's really not going to be any olive branching anytime soon if this stuff continues. It's actually going to get way, way worse. Which, by the way, it's rich, right? That the Black community is Democrats, even though like they were the slaveholders and they were the ones that against the civil rights, but all of a sudden the Black community's part is like majority Democrat. It is rich, right? So, but fear not, everybody, worry not, all right? Because there is some major interesting news that is happening ever since Organization Day. And who am I talking about? I'm talking about King Taylor. And why is he the king? Well, I'll tell you here in a second. So Greg Taylor was the Senate, or still is, was the Senate minority leader of the Democrats. So on the day of Organization Day, which I believe was last week, whenever the 20th was, last week, there was an article that came out from Indy Star alleging that he was committing sexual harassment. Turns out he really didn't deny it. Well, here's why he is the king. That article came out on the same day the Senate had to, the minority senators had to vote for a leader. And who won? Greg Taylor. Even with the multiple alleged sexual harassments, he would still continue to be a leader. And I tell you what, and this was one of the articles that I found from it. And this was Greg Taylor's statement on it. As an elected official, I'm responsible for maintaining high professionalism and respecting the boundaries of all I engage with. While this has always been my goal, there have been times when I may have blurred the lines and behaved in a manner that potentially made my colleagues or those who witnessed my actions uncomfortable. While it was never my intent to cause harm, I acknowledge that I have fallen short and I apologize. To shorten this down, it's like, oopsie, I got caught. He never really denied it. And if you go and read through some of the articles from Indiana Capital Chronicle or Indy Star and some of the other ones, I made a video about this last week. It is not kind at all. I feel really bad for all those women. I believe they were LA's, which was the legislator assistant. I believe they were interns. Man, what a crappy situation to be in, for sure. But I commend. This is where I commend some of the people. So Andrea Hundley tried running for leader. She lost. I don't like Hundley that much. She's a big John Green fan, hosted like a seminar or like a talk with him, talking about smut and wanting more smut in children's libraries. They got all butthurt because the smut books were getting moved from the adult section from the kids section to the adult section. Yes, that's what they were getting all mad about. So, but the comments are what was gold. And I'm going to make a point here in a second, all right? Don't worry, I'm sure you're going to take everything out of context, Democrats. So Andrea Watts, who is the stepdaughter of Julie Calvert Watts, a Republican that ran for city council last year, she goes on a big tirade of how she's feeling about this whole thing and how Andrea Hundley should have won and she didn't win. Same thing with Morgan Mickelson. She used to be the director of the sustainability department of Indianapolis. If I was mayor, by the side note, if I was mayor, that's one of my first things that I'm cutting, along with a couple other departments. Same thing with Adam Wren, requoting Destiny Wells. I look forward to a new generation of Indiana Democratic leadership to establish a party culture that removes our internal barriers, including safety concerns like sexual harassment. Listen, and which one was it? Yeah, it's Lauren Roberts, which if all you guys remember, Thomas Cook, she was one of the alleged victims of sexual harassment from him. But for those who don't know about Destiny Wells' history, I will just leave it there. Moving on from James Briggs, old Skinwalker Briggs, how he's surprised. I can't believe it. How is someone who's accused of sexual harassment still wins minority leadership? And then, Jocelyn Bear, how did she block me on this account already? Whatever. Elise Schrock, who is the sister of Emily Schrock, and Emily Schrock is the director of the prosecutor's department. Probably like, if you guys remember Undertaker and Kane and like the Brothers of Doom, these would be the Sisters of Doom. Same thing with Nikki Kelly, one of the worst. And then this was interesting too from Fort Wayne politics. So the caucus chair, which ended up being Rodney Paul, and I forgot who the other person was that got voted in. Doesn't matter though. But here's the point of all this. They think they figured out who actually voted for Gregory Taylor. Lakeisha Jackson, who's a new senator, David Miazgoski, who I call Mike Wazowski. For those who don't know Sir David, he also got accused of sexual harassment earlier this April. Crazy stuff. He was texting this guy's daughter, who I think was rather young too, like blowing up her phone all the time. He said that he loved her. I mean, just straight up gooner stuff. Lonnie Randolph and Mark Spencer. And you have to remember too, Taylor, Jackson, Lonnie Randolph, and Mark Spencer are all part of the Black Caucus. They are not going to vote against their own. We have to remember that. You know who else is part of the Black Caucus? Andrea Hundley. Yeah, very interesting stuff. This is why I say it's fascinating, because the GOP is missing an opportunity to really attack the situation. Of course, none of the caucuses are talking about how many sexual harassments they've had, or accusations or complaints or whatever. None of them, left or right. And I've been saying this forever. Oh, wait, you mean there's skeletons in the closet? Of course there are. Everybody's got it. I mean, I've heard some stuff in the last couple of weeks that would just blow your mind. Don't know if any of it's true. That's why I haven't published any of it. So that is something that the GOP should definitely be doing. They should be focusing on something like that, because this is an opportunity like the Indianapolis City Council did with the investigative committee of the handling of the whole Thomas Cook alleged sexual harassment. The state leaders in the GOP could easily be doing something like this, and the reason why they're probably not doing it is because they know they have dirty hands as well. So that section's over. So what is the future of Central Indiana? Well, voters, that's up to you, because we have an issue here with everybody moving out of Indianapolis, Marion County, and moving to Hamilton County. And here's the deal with all of that. And anybody that lives in Hamilton County, like Queen T, she has probably seen of how many apartments are getting built up, all these condos. But what happens with all that? People who live in apartments are mostly Democrat voters, right? Because they don't really want, and I'm not going to say all people who live in apartments are this way, but I will say the vast majority. They aren't really about a responsibility. It's why they live in an apartment. They don't want accountability. They would rather blame everyone else for their problems and keep smoking weed, keep boozing it up, keep gambling, keep doing degenerate activities, because simply they don't want to grow up. I mean, like I said, not all of them are like that. The vast majority are, though. You walk into an apartment, what do you normally smell? That old wacky tobacco. That's right, the electric lettuce. And it's just mostly from the degenerate activities, and they're just like, you know what, I just want more money for doing nothing. What do they want? They want daddy government to run their life. These are the same people that forced you to wear a mask, get an experimental vaccine to keep your job, see your loved ones, see your kids play volleyball, or even see a doctor. Yeah, you had to get the jab before you can even see a doctor. These are the same people that had masks on their mirrors to virtue signal to the rest of the sheep. These are low-quality people that love obedience because it's one of the few metrics they can compete on. And you're going to be getting a lot more of them, Hamilton County. And I will tell you right now, Hamilton County GOP, if you don't get your shit together, Hamilton County will be just like Marion County. And if you want to see what it's like, go down the street to the east side. You can see how many shootings happen all the time. You can see all the bums that are walking down Washington or 10th Street. All the drug addicts just kneeled over because they're all, I don't even know what kind of pie they are. They're all concoction, not even on scissor. And they need to take some accountability, because I don't want them to be like, how did Hamilton County turn blue? We didn't even see it coming. Of course you did, because we've been warning you for years. The data's out there. Get your stuff together. But here's the interesting part that nobody's really talking about. The migrants, and we're 10 minutes away from the finish, all right? We're almost there, folks. Don't you worry. And I still got plenty of energy to go. I usually go till 2 hours. Look at this. Venezuelan national who's in our country illegally was arrested in Denver, Colorado for raping a 14-year-old girl. He allegedly raped his employer's daughter while living at his house. This is the kind of, you think that this is just Colorado too. You're like, oh, the other states don't really have to deal with this. Are you sure about that? Oh, what's this? South American theft groups target affluent Hamilton County homes. I'm sure Queen T knows all about this too. I'm sure this isn't the first time that we're hearing about this. This was at last year, March of 2023. And only this year did they, I believe they pleaded guilty. Plead guilty to high dollar home break-ins in Hamilton County. Now, here's the deal, too. If you get a Democrat prosecutor like our own Nosferatu, Ryan Mears, these people will just get a plea deal and be back on the street. That's what's going on. If you don't believe me, go onto my case, look at the attorney, look in Ryan Mears, and you'll see all the plea deals. I was just looking it up yesterday. But that's not the only one, folks. No, look at this right here. IMPD arrests teens involved in a gang during a series of raids. And what's the name of the gang? The Taliban Chapa gang. Pretty sure these are all migrants as well. I mean, they're definitely not Amish. But look at this. And you think, and all of you Democrats out there that are blaming mug guns, right? Well, why don't we see this problem in Hamilton and Johnson and Hendricks, even Hancock County? It's because right now they have rules. I believe there was a drug dealer that was selling meth in I just saw it yesterday, and I believe it was Hancock County. He got 20 years in the slammer. You know what? Fine by me. He's putting out poison to kill more kids. That's fine by me. We need to start setting the standard right now, because otherwise we're just going to turn into another California. We're going to have tent cities all over downtown. We're going to have more bums taking dumps, which is why they're having to raise the taxes in Miles Square. It's because they need more money to clean the graffiti and clean all the urine and the poo that the bums are putting out there. True story. And then there was this one. Angela Ganot, I don't know. This South American drug and sex trafficking gang received his sentence. Police say the gang is Tren de Aguera. I don't know. I'm 20% Hispanic. I can't even get the words. 5 females were rescued in February of this year in a home near IMS, while Alejandro Santiago was charged. 20% Hispanic, I can say that. At least one was a teenager. That home was on Eagleville Drive in Indy. According to the PC, one of the women told police she was promised to work to help bring her family to the U.S., but she was driven from Boston to Indy to have sex with men. She said she was not allowed to leave the home. And what happened to this guy? What happened to him? He got a 5-year sentence and 3 years were suspended, but he was already in jail for 2 years. So guess what's happening right now? He's on a 2-year probation. That's right. He's going to be walking, folks. So I will ask you this right now. For the people living in Hamilton, and Johnson, and et cetera counties, is this what you want? Is this what you want? Do you want sex trafficking happening in your backyard? Do you want your daughter tricked into getting railed, into becoming getting trained by these illegals, and to get prostituted out for drugs? Is that what you want, people in Fishers, in Carmel, and Westfield? Because if you keep voting Democrat, that's exactly what's going to happen. And I'm already predicting it right now that it's going to happen, because Democrats really don't have a soul. They don't care. And that is the truth. But who are we fighting against, though, right now? We're fighting against Democrats. And right now, they're beat up because of the election. Because King 45, soon to be King 47, will be president in like a month and a half? Something like that. Scott Adams, of course. I believe he was the creator of the Drew comic. I see no way to fix them, because their reflex for promoting identity over merit renders them permanently incompetent as a group. And what did Queen T say? That we need to get away from identity politics. But the problem is the left and the Democrat Party have been hijacked by communists. These people don't care about accountability. All they're concerned about is, hey, are you white? Are you an affluent white? Do you have too much money? Well, I don't like that. I need you to bring that down to my level, because misery loves company. And that's all they are. They're a bunch of miserable children that want to ruin progress. They want to ruin Elon Musk going to Mars. Listen, Lucy, I'm on the same side, all right? We're on the same side. But the best hope for Democrats is that their preferred media platforms evolve in a direction of real news, real solutions, and the party follows. But I don't see how that could happen. And that's true. MSNBC is up for sale right now, or they're about to be. And there's really all these leftist commentators were the same people that are pulling all the COVID propaganda or the Russian influence propaganda. These people are just delusional. And who are these people, you might ask? Oh, I don't know. Everybody that's moving over to Blue Sky right now. All these fetish people that love wearing diapers for some reason. Yes, Democrats. Hey, Justin Moed voters, there's your people. They look like everybody from Garfield Park, by the way. These are all the same people that voted for Justin Moed, the masochist Moed of District 97. Those are your peeps right now. Yeah, all right, I got to take this off. It's throwing me off. It's upsetting my stomach. So, let's go back. We got 5 more minutes left, but let's look at it right now. what do we have? We got so many people moving out of Indy and moving to the red counties and turning them more blue. So what can the Marion County GOP do? Well, first off, they need to get rid of their leadership and they need to start new. They need to get someone who has a vision, who has a plan, who's motivated, who's there for the people, not their current leadership, who not even in Wayne Township where I live in. We haven't had a meeting since June. Where was everybody else at when I was running for office, when John Schmitz was running for office, when Yvonne, when Joseph? Everybody thought I was running for office. Victoria Wilburn, who's a state representative who was running against Patricia Barton, she should have never won. She made false police claims to me and John Schmitz. And the GOP didn't want to run on that. That was an easy slam dunk because it's like her district is mostly in Fishers. So what can happen right now? Well, you got to make Indy safer. You got to bring these maniacs back to Indianapolis and chill them out, because if they don't, more of the crazy will spread like cancer. And you'll have every corner where you have South Americans selling cotton candy like you're over by me. But that's the truth, though. You got to make Marion County safer so we can pull these liberal people back into Marion County. And that's the truth. And even though, because they all want like the nightlife style, they all want to walk to breweries, they all want to go watch sports ball and gamble. And we already see what's happening in Fisher with the event center, what Indy Fuel moved over there. The Pacers have a practice facility over there. They're getting all the same things as Marion County does, but you have to stop it. Boone County right now, my theory right now about Boone County, and is that Eli Lilly wants to move out of Marion County and go to Boone County. And also there was a report today that Google wants to build a data center in Lebanon, however you want to pronounce it, Boone County, which means what? Which means you're probably going to be a 15-minute city. That's their plan, other than everybody else wanting to become a 15-minute city because it's more money for them. Did you like that? Yeah, got a lot of information out there for you. But the moral of the story is Central Indiana is not looking to be good. Indy's going to get worse. The outside counties are going to get worse. If you want a perfect example of that, look at Northwest Indiana. We had everything from like East Chicago to Hammond to Munster, and then it spread out to Cherville, Crown Point, Cedar Lake. And this is coming from a guy that's lived in the region for a long time. This is coming from a guy that was born in Chicago Heights and lived in the burbs of Calumet City and Lansing. I know what this is like. This is a warning for all of you. I know what crap looks like, and it's only going to get worse. But that's going to end the show right now. This has been fun, right? It's a lot of information. Next week, I don't know what the subject will be. I'll figure it out, though. But if you got any questions, shoot them over. I'm on Facebook at Slick Whitty. On Twitter at King of Whitties. Email me. If you want to talk about the weather, that's cool too. But until next time, folks.